Well, good morning, Fish Tank World. This is Jerry Wallendahl of Jerry's Swords and More, and today we're going to be talking about some rhizome plants. I would like to start out by saying I hope everybody had a very blessed Christmas, and may you have a prosperous and healthy new year. Before we talk about plants, we're going to look around the tank a little bit, enjoy some of the scenery. I want to point out a couple of things. I always like to show off my Kahaku sword, and this is it right in front there. I kind of picked ones that had a reddish head and then white and orange. I think they're finally pregnant, so I'm looking forward to having some babies out of there. And then I wanted to show you this female guppy that I have. It's a very large female I call Big Mama Guppy. And she is very pregnant. Waiting for her to have another batch of fry. You can see all the different fry that I have in this tank. Really enjoy having a wide variety of fish. I've got a couple of stores that are looking at buying fish from me. I sell swordtails and guppies. I have one tank that I'm specializing in purple dragon guppies that are pure, and then this is the mixed community tank, so I really never know quite what I'm getting out of this. This is a, if I can catch it, a high fin orange swordtail. He's one of my male breeders, and then I have a marigold sword that is also a male breeder. In the back here you can see a nerite snail that I bought yesterday called the Fancy Nerite. A very beautiful snail. And now we'll talk a little bit about rhizome plants. So what are rhizome plants? The one that we'll start out with is the golden Anubias. The scientific name is Anubias barteri nana. Nana is the name for the smaller of the Anubias barteris. And this is an example of a rhizome. All the plants we look at today will be rhizome plants. So a rhizome plant is a plant that has a stem-like structure that is the core or base for the plant. That's where it stores all of its nutrients, and then it shoots leaves off of the rhizome. It shoots roots off of the rhizome. I'm looking at this one. This is one that I just clipped off about a week ago, trying to get it going. And so that larger structure right at the base of the leaves is the rhizome. And these plants feed from the water column. So it's good to have a good nutrient-rich water column. We use a product called Easy Green from Aquarium Co-op. You want to try and get a fertilizer that has both micro and macro nutrients in it combined. Easy Green has everything other than iron in it because iron can't be put along with it. Just like to point out, this is one of the ram's horn snails that we're raising. It's a red ram's horn. Right above that, just underneath that leaf, you can see one of the gold ram's horns. But anyway, back to the rhizome plants. Now, a good healthy rhizome plant, we'll take a look at the mother rhizome here. This is another golden Anubias. You can see there the small stringy like structures coming off the rhizome are the roots. And the roots on rhizomes do not take in nutrients. They're just used to attach that rhizome onto whatever it's growing off of. So we take super glue and we glue them to different rocks. And so you can see the root structure there. So a good healthy rhizome plant will have roots coming off of it. We'll have leaves on it. We try and get 4 to 5 leaves on any new plant we sell, and then and a big thick rhizome. And the way it grows is the leaves pump the nutrients onto the rhizome. the rhizome gets bigger, shoots off more roots and more leaves, and that's how it grows. And we usually grow out one end. So one end of the rhizome is the end that it's growing off of with the new leaves. If you do cut it to propagate it, that's the end that you want to take off. And so what we do is we bought one parent plant, this one right here from Aquarium Co-op. We're cutting off branches, leaves. The best thing to do is get a rhizome that's got a few roots on it. We're going to take a look at another one here. This one here I cut off. As you can see, it has roots on it, and it has 4 new leaves on it already, and that's only after 1 week. So if you're propagating it and you get a plant that has both rhizomes, the rhizome, the roots, and the leaves on it, that's the way you will get the fastest growth. We also have some that just have a little bit of the leaves on it. I'm hoping they will produce roots and the rhizome will grow. This is one of the gold ram's horns again, out there where you can really get a good look at it. And so we have lots of different kinds of them in here. But this golden Anubias is one of my favorites. It's a very slow grower. We're able actually to grow them pretty fast. Normally you might find 1 to 2 leaves a month. When we get ours going good with a good water column fertilizer and good lighting, we can get a leaf or 2 a week. So we're very fortunate that way. And then we just propagate it, cut more off, and we will be selling them at local stores. We will let you know what stores that we market them to. These little Anubias nanas are usually a little bit more expensive because they are slow growing. So a lot of places don't sell a lot of them. So we think that's a good open market. The other thing is the plants that we have are grown submersed. A lot of times when you buy plants online, they're grown immersed, where they grow a little bit faster. But then when you move them to the water, they have to be acclimated. And sometimes that will cause meltback. Sometimes they will die. At the very least, it's going to slow down the plant. So if you can get plants that are raised submersed, that's a big plus. And then, so we raise all of our plants submersed, and they're ready to go. We just super glue them onto rocks, and it's very easy then to just take the rock out, take it to the store, local fish store. They can drop it in their tank, and then for display, and when somebody buys it, they just take the rock and the plant, take it home, put it in their tank. So these are good beginner plants. They're pretty hardy. The leaves can last for several years, and you don't have to worry about the substrate you have in because they're attached to the rocks, so, and feed from the water column. So it's a good plant for beginners to take out. Then immediately behind the golden Anubias, we have another one of my favorites, and this is Java Fern Wendeloff. And so we're going to take a couple of looks at different types of Java ferns. This is Java Fern Wendeloff. The scientific name is Microsporum pteropus, and Wendeloff is the variety. The neat thing about this plant is you'll notice on the end of the leaves, so the leaves themselves look like a regular Java fern, but then when you get to the end, it has these little kinky, curly ends to it. It's a little faster growing than the Anubias golden, a little easier to propagate, and you can do it the same way by cutting off a piece of the rhizome and gluing that onto a rock or whatever you want to attach it to. Some people say they grow a little faster if you actually attach them to a piece of driftwood. And then you can also propagate this plant by just taking a leaf, and when the leaf starts to die, it will produce little brown spots on it that will form plantlets. And you can just sometimes glue a leaf onto one, Here's one that I glued on. You can see it in the back there. Not doing real well. Sometimes they take and sometimes they don't, but that's the Wendeloff, and it grows by that rhizome. A very easy plant. Again, feeds from the water column, so you don't have to worry about the substrate. We do the same thing there and glue it to rocks. I love to use it as a backdrop for the golden Anubias. It's a darker green, so it really sets off the color of the golden Anubias and makes a great background. Now we're going to slip over here. We go by that stem plant. That's Cardinalis althonaria. We'll talk more about that when we talk about stem plants. But here's another another Anubias barteri, Nana. The difference between this is it's just a darker green compared to the gold, which is a lighter green. And this is pretty much the same thing. It's a rhizome plant. I just bought this yesterday so I can start propagating that. You can see all the different roots and leaves. Bought one with a very healthy rhizome. Plan to divide that in the next couple of days. I'm letting it adjust a little bit to the water first. One of the things that I use is by using the fertilizer and a lot of light. If you have a lot of light, you may consider putting the Anubias a little bit in shade. But if you do have a lot of light, it'll grow faster. Also, C&2 injection can help, although I don't do that in my tanks. And then I have snails in here, ram's horn snails. There's a very good look at a reddish gold one there. Just beautiful looking ram's horn snails. And the reason I have snails in this tank is for these slow-growing Anubias. Is if you have a lot of light on them and a lot of fertilizer, they can have a tendency to develop some algae on them. So the snails clean off the algae off of my plants. I personally think it's good to have some snails in a tank, and they will take care of a lot of your algae problem. So that's a look at some of the rhizomes. We're going to take a look at one more here, and this is regular Java fern, and that again is the Pteropus species. And Java fern is like the Wendeloff, only this has straight leaves on it with not the curly ends. On this one back here, you can see some of the black spots forming on a back leaf. I'm waiting for some of that to start to develop plantlets. I'll probably cut that leaf off and glue it on and see if I can get a new one started. This is one that I just started recently. You can see it's much smaller. And then on a rhizome plant, you want to make sure you can put them down in the substrate, but if you do that, you want to make sure that you do not bury the rhizome. If you bury the rhizome, it will rot, and being that that's the core of the plant will die. So you take the rhizome and you can glue it to something, or you can plant it on your substructure, but only submerge the roots in the substructure, not the rhizome. And so that gives you a look at some different rhizome plants. The Java fern, which is another good beginning plant, slow-growing plant. The Java fern Wendeloff, which is one of my favorites. I love those curly ends on it. The golden Anubias and the Anubias Nana. So before we end the session today, we'll take a little look around the tank again, see if we can catch anything that's a little bit different. There in the back, you can see one of my Cory cats. I was down at Pet World in Madison yesterday and seen some of the biggest Cory cats I've ever seen in my life. I talked to Todd, the fish department manager down there, and he said he feeds them a lot of brine shrimp, which I believe is why they grow very big. Here's another one of those goldish red ram's horn snails. We'll be attempting to start to market those also, ones of different colors. We've got the whitest silver one here right in the middle. The colors don't show up real good on it. And we've got lots of different color varieties going on those. Black skirt tetra. There is female purple dragon guppy, also pregnant. There's another one. And over here is a snowflake female that's also pregnant, so I'm going to be having lots of baby guppies. I've been enjoying my 75 this week, and this is the reason why in specific. If you take a look here, these little orange fish are little orange swordtail fry, and I'm very happy to have those in this tank. I had a big female that had a lot of black in it, and unfortunately that passed away, but some of these guppies have half black, some of them are a lot more orange in them, but because some of them are half black, I believe they came from her, so she left me a legacy of fry that I'm raising up, and I got some variations in the colors. And then that Cahokia sword, I'm hoping to have babies and maybe get some koi color going out of them. So I hope you enjoyed today's little video talking about rhizomes a little bit. If you like this, would you push the like button, share it with a friend. We'll be putting out different videos to talk about different plants, different fish, and try and educate you a little bit, and hope you enjoy the different views. Like I said, this is my 75-gallon community tank. You can see I got these rocks at a local quarry. You want to be a little bit careful about rocks when you buy them to make sure that they're not like limestone or something that will dissolve and release different chemicals into the water. So that is a tour of this tank. Hope you enjoy it. God bless and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.